ARs being equipped for those riflemen, and they are really tearing apart that half armored car, which is getting knocked out. Oh dear, tragic. Panzer grenades moving in through all those cover wreckage of armored cars and whatnot, engaging the riflemen. The riflemen are standing out in the open where their BARs won't help them so much, and we see our offensive veterans one for those Gewehr 43s, which will certainly make them more accurate and fire faster. Certainly not a bad choice. Airborne moving in for the west, hoping perhaps to ambush them, and we see the Panzer IV coming out. Good move, and we see some of those armored cars getting wrecked even further by recoiling this rifle fire. Panzer Grenadiers still not trying to suppress though. Could be helpful, but they are taking heavy losses now. They are getting surrounded, and those last will have to get out. And there we go, getting out and hopefully retaining all the teams with veterancy and whatnot. And there we go, the Panzer IV infantry support tank, aka the Panzer IV F1, the last variant to feature the low velocity 75mm gun, also called the stubby gun. And we see a Kettenkrad being engaged by further airborne as engineers are also sneaking out in the west, and the Kettenkrad is blown to bits. And we see the Panzer IV receiving armored skirts, charging forwards quite nicely, albeit I'd still wish it had some infantry support. But at the moment I don't think there's much for it to fear, although there's an anti-tank on there being dropped in. Engineers getting knocked out. Not sure why he went for it there, since that's actually cheaper than calling it in, but he might have feared something to arrive very quickly, I can't say. Of course, with that Panzer IV, he is of course in a bit of trouble, but he is alerted to it now. And we see the airborne getting surrounded. Panzer is moving from north, Panzer IV from the south. Shots not really doing much, and airborne trying their best with the recoilless rifle, but they are getting singled out now. And we do see a bit of suppression fire temporarily slowing them down, killing quite a few airborne, but they do manage to get out of there. The anti-tank gun though is quick to set up and fire away at the Panzer IV. Panzer Grenadiers continuing the hunt, might hope to knock out that anti-tank gun and seize it for the fatherland, or perhaps not. And we see the Panzer IV is still moving about a bit. Not much luck though. Currently not looking really good for the Sperrverband. They have lost most of their territory, only holding a small sliver right here in the top center. Riflemen engaging these Panzer Grenadiers out in numbers. And we see airborne moving in from south, hoping to fire some rear shots at that Panzer IV, and certainly doing alright. Panzer Grenadiers close to getting wiped out. Panzer IV moving in, opening fire, will it? Yes, no, yes, no. There we go, killing quite a few. Very nice shot, and now turning the frontal armor against those airborne. Very nice done, although not much holding it together now. Barely any armored skirts left either. Very nice detail, by the way, that they do fall off as damage is taken. Anti-tank gun somehow ending up amongst those Panzer Grenadiers. That's certainly quite a bit of unfortunate luck. Generally don't want to send in your anti-tank guns without infantry support when it's in a hostile move. But there you go. Airborne continuing the hunt for the Panzer IV, which is arriving into the base. And the airborne gave up, apparently not too keen on facing the flak feelings of the base. And we do see that anti-tank gun has been left behind, but a second one is nearby. And airborne moving right into those Panzer Grenadiers, who are firing away, all with veterancy 1, which will certainly make them more accurate and fire a bit faster. So that's certainly not going to be the advantage of those airborne 1 team, already lacking very heavily in men, down to 1 man in fact. And the other team, will that actually survive? No, it did not survive, and in fact it dropped a recoilless rifle. Perhaps one of those Panzer Grenadiers will snow. Oh dear, that was terrible. One Panzer Grenadier team was lost with veterancy 1. Certainly going to feel that later on. But those airborne are certainly still taking a beating from the veteran Panzer Grenadiers. Will there be any replacements? No, apparently not. Not entirely sure what he's going for though, in fact. And one Panzer Grenadier team is repairing this. He might consider getting the Luftwaffe, which is anyways the most commonly used Panzer Elite doctrine. And there we go, getting the Luftwaffe. Ground forces apparently calling upon the remnants of a Luftwaffe Felddivision to help a bit with some cheaper infantry. And they are quite capable at repairing vehicles. Possibly, who knows, they might have been repairmen for airplanes in their former lives before they were drafted into the actual fighting bits. So there you go, and we are seeing Fallschirmjägers being called in as well. They're at the Pedlevsky factory. They infiltrated and apparently snuck out. Very nice troops, and the FG-42, sort of an assault rifle. It was intended as a sort of light machine gun, but it could also act as a sort of rifle. And so because of that, well, it ended up, like the BAR, functioning a bit of a sort of an early assault rifle, albeit I do believe the FG-42 would have been a bit better. So there you go. Quite lethal troops. Some of the best infantry in the game for sure, and of course the German Fallschirmjägers were some of the most elite infantry, even though they weren't really para-dropped anymore. But they were still extremely lethal, including their pioneer comrades, the Fallschirm pioneers, who were possibly even more vicious. Though you don't see those in games, nor do you see airborne engineers except for that single campaign. But there you go, Fallschirmjägers cutting down an engineer with a single volley, airborne pulling back as well. Panzer grenades might want to move in here alongside those Luftwaffe to ensure those Fallschirmjägers aren't getting outnumbered, because the Americans are lining up for a great assault. Panzer IV will also need to move in. No, my goodness, why isn't he leading the assault? Instead he's leaving those airborne behind to get completely outnumbered. Oh dear Gulcasa, why are you throwing away your Fallschirmjäger like that? Probably 3rd Fallschirmjäger Regiment, come to think of it. But there they are retreating, and there we go, finally maneuvering those Panzer grenades in, who have increased squad size as well. Let's go have a look at Mr. A, Captain A of the 29th, who has airborne infantry, airdrop guns, and some air reconnaissance. And not so much else in the base, but he is getting supply yard upgrade number 1. But really, Gulcasa would need to lead some attack, but I'm surprised Mr. A doesn't really have considered getting any medic stations. He's getting plenty of anti-tank guns, but no medic stations to really help with some of those infantry, nor a triage station to really heal them and get the most out of them as they are retreating and recuperating in the base. So that's a bit curious. And of course the tendency to send those anti-tank guns without support is not doing me any favors, nor I'm surprised he isn't laying down mines that could really be effective against the Panzer Grenadiers. But again, no mines, no barbed wire, no tank traps, not much either. Not even a sticky bomb or a grenade, just BARs, and there we go, Panzer Grenades, further give 43s and plenty of offensive infantry. And now the Luftwaffe troops are moving in nearby, ready to support, opening fire. Luftwaffe squads can be considered to be about the equal of your Volksgrenadier teams. They certainly had about the same training. Fun thing though is that by the time they were instated in the first place, they were actually better equipped. They had a great deal of great guns, they had their own Stug, Abteilungs and whatnot, so it's a bit funny that way. It could be fun to actually be able to sort of play with an actual Luftwaffe company in this game, sort of, well, one can dream. Airborne troops coming under fire, taking quite a bit of losses. Luftwaffe hanging back and doing a bit of repairs, and airborne team getting out there. Those riflemen are looking in a bad spot. Some of them might want to consider setting up in the factory using the windows, but no, instead he is retreating. And of course then it's a bit curious, why isn't he using buildings? That again can really make the difference, setting up in a building and then using it for protection.
Combat air patrol on station.
Now we are seeing strafing runs being made ready. Quite lethal, and Luftwaffe troops are sneaking about, taking territory in their nice camouflage suits. And we see the Panzer IV moving about very slowly. Fallschirmjägers engaging some engineers who are finally laying down some mines. I mean, that took quite some time for him to actually get around to it. And the engineers cleared out, bursting the flamethrower tank, exploding it and killing the guy on it. And we do see this anti-tank gun setting up here, hoping for something to arrive, and he's lacking a bit of manpower, but certainly helping with those upgrades to the supply yard, which will also help veterancy. So of course not a bad idea, but I certainly think he could have used those landmines a bit earlier. And a triage center as well, reinforcing the troops and getting some fresh engineers, while the Panzer Grenadiers are moving about. And we do see a second Fallschirmjäger team, this 3rd Fallschirmjäger Regiment, really helping out for the Sperrverband, really putting down a strong force right now to hold the line. And those Luftwaffe troops could possibly even lay down some heavier defenses. engineers hanging about, not entirely sure what to do. Panzer IV though taking some recoilless rifle fire, and the anti-tank guns are setting up. And if they do use the armor-piercing rounds, they can really do a bit of damage. And down to almost half health. Oh dear, Mr. Gulcasa, that was a bit unfortunate. But those Luftwaffe troops can quickly repair it if they are given the time. Airborne charging in, barely reinforced though, that's a bit aggressive I think. But not a lot of infantry. Panzer IV locking down and preparing to really deliver a fusillade of high explosive shells, and there's barely anything in the center. Most of the infantry is either there or there. But they look like they are slowly moving out. And a strafing run, really doing quite a bit of damage here, killing 4 Luftwaffe troops. And an anti-tank knocks out the Panzer IV. Quite a devastating blow here in the center, but the Fallschirmjäger are sneaking past the main infantry force and moving straight for the anti-tank guns. Quite bold, quite sneaky. And we see further Fallschirmjäger and Panzer Grenadiers moving in from the west. Really interesting, and now they can engage all of those American troops right out in the open. They really should consider standing still and then just unleashing all hell, and there we go. Riflemen really taking heavy losses to the FG-42s and whatnot. And there we go, a lot of dead Americans on the retreat. And again, if they did have a medic station, they could have recuperated some of those losses. For example, setting it up right here would, for example, be a nice position, I think. And Fallschirmjägers apparently having a bit of a break, but they, again, if they stand in cover, they can camouflage and they get an ambush bonus when they then attack, which means they can become even more lethal. I mean, really, a single Fallschirmjäger team in good cover in ambush mode can really take on a much larger force, since with that first barrage they can unleash, they can really quickly kill a lot of infantry in seconds. Let's return to the Sperrverband as the 29th is slowly recovering and now going for a tank depot, so we might see some armor to try and help out the situation. A bit surprised the Germans aren't trying to perhaps see some of those anti-tank guns with all of that infantry they have around, for example, using the Luftwaffe troops. That could really give them some anti-tank assets, in particular since the Americans might be going for this now, and they are, of course. But we'll have to see how he will react, and of course what the enemy will do. Panzer IV with armored skirts ready on the field. Again, the other one a slight tragic wreck. And Fallschirmjägers pulling back to a slightly more defensive position, setting up positions here. In fact, digging in a bit of camouflage, and the Luftwaffe also hanging about nearby. They could lay down some, for example, some sandbags or barbed wire, would certainly strengthen the position. And now the Americans are moving in force. Luftwaffe troops nearby, ready for the ambush. Panzer IV